If you'd like, I can arrange for you to watch my dance from a special seat atop another... Oh, never mind. It's too embarrassing.
Hi everybody, I'm Shion and welcome back to a new video! So in my last upload, it sounded like a lot of you guys really liked Fire Emblem, which is a good thing because I like Fire Emblem, obviously. I went to make this cosplay in 3 days for a last minute photo shoot and then got really sick afterwards. No, not at all. So today I'm going to give my opinion on all of the Fire Emblem games. I have played most of them. I do know a lot about each game. I'm not going to talk about all of the history in this video because, oh my god, there are hour-long videos that you can watch talking about that. But I am going to talk about some of the history for this video just because for some of the titles, the history just is more memorable than the game to me, if that makes sense. I have watched a lot of walkthroughs, playthroughs. I am a huge fan of the franchise. The games that I haven't played, I either really don't want to or I just don't have access to. This list is only going to talk about the 13 main games and the 3 remakes. So, no heroes. So yeah, let's just jump right into it, I guess.
The year is 1990, before the dinosaurs. Nah, I'm just kidding. I mean, looking at the Famicom, it could be mistaken for a fossil. The first Fire Emblem game, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, is a thing that exists. This game has some very iconic music, and it's the first game in the series, but the maps are weird, the characters, as iconic as they are just meh, and gameplay is so slow and chunky. This game has not aged well, but at least the Japanese trailers for this were really freaking funny. Also, why the fuck was this game ported to the Switch and not the remake? What the fuck, Nintendo? But the first one? Like, I get the first game in a series is important and all, but this game sucks. Fire Emblem Gaiden is the original to Echoes. It was meant to target problems from the first games, such as map management, making sprites look a bit nicer, and just the whole game runs smoother. Because, let's be honest here, the first Fire Emblem game felt like it was on the verge of crashing. Gaiden also added a fun story, which kind of became a big thing in Fire Emblem. A lot of their games revolve around story. Doesn't mean they're always good, but it's a thing. And maybe it's because I didn't grow up with the Famicom, but holy shit, do the maps blind me. I hope you like green! But I have tried to play this game and could not get through it. I mean, I like the sea monsters. Ooh, a new system. Next Fire Emblem came out on the Super Famicom, which I much prefer. We're not gonna lie here, but it kind of became a big problem later in Fire Emblem's life. You see, they kept making Fire Emblem games on the Super Famicom until 2000 with Russia 776. It could be downloaded onto a Nintendo Power Flash cartridge in 1999 and didn't actually get physical releases until 2000. For clarity here, the N64 came out in 1996. The GB Color came out in 1998. My point is, at this point, the Super Family was kind of sort of really fucking old, which leads me into this game. Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem is the 3rd game and is regarded as the best out of 3. So Nintendo did this thing where they would release the first game, the second game, which was kind of weird and fixed mistakes, and then the 3rd game, which is supposed to be the holy grail. And this game is totally all that. The 3rd Fire Emblem game was a remake of the first one, so they remade the whole story. That was only part 1 of this game. The second part is a continuation of that story, and it is all new content. A lot of people skip out on the first book of the game because it's literally the original game, but the story is told a lot better, while the second part is all new content and continues the story, which is kind of fun. This game, I think, should have been ported instead because I feel like this game, even though the first game is so iconic, Mystery of the Emblem is just a way better game in general, but hey, just my opinion. Fire Emblem Genealogy and the Holy War, so many hardcore fans of the series say that this is the best game, and while I agree, it is super fun and has some very fun characters like Sigurd, Quain, and Sylvia. Speaking of Sylvia, she has some of the funniest supports in the whole fucking series. Like, here's our weird support with her and Alec, and here's her meeting conversation with Sigurd. This game has a fun story and the characters are just, I love them all. Like, this game has some of the best characters in my opinion, but you will spend so much time in this game doing nothing. You will move your units around the map getting supplies, and I do get the idea behind the big map layout because it's supposed to be like an actual war, so you go to different parts of the map, but it is so big and you spend so much time doing nothing. But when you do encounter battles in the game, they can be so stressful and crazy, and you are praying to God that there is a God because some of these maps are just so stressful, but they're super fun. This game is totally worth playing. There is a reason it's considered one of the best in the series, and honestly, if Nintendo wanted to remake another Fire Emblem game, I believe this would be the best title for it. Hey, wanna hear something stupid? Thracia 776. Yep, that's the name of Fire Emblem 5. This was the last game that had the works of Shuruzu Kaga in it. He's one of the main creators of the series. Now, this game is notorious for being difficult. It was actually made to be extra, like, content, like levels or just maps for Holy War, but because of Kaga, the series, which was supposed to be only a 1-year project, turned into 3, and then it just did not sell well. It is considered one of the hardest, if not the hardest, Fire Emblem game. You will experience hair-ripping, lip-biting, controller-throwing gameplay. I personally could only make it to chapter 13 before my emulator decided to get rid of my save. I'm picking my battles today and choosing not to lose stress over replaying it. My favorite chapter was chapter 12 that I played. A lot of people say you can't even beat it with a walkthrough, and I believe it because the start of this game, like, this game is hard right from the beginning. Whoa, the GBA. The next 3 games came out on this little guy, and I love it. I personally feel that the series truly fits on handheld devices. This was also the first time that English audiences could experience the Fire Emblem series, which was up to this time only available in Japan. So now a little bit of backstory for the next game. With Shozukaga gone, the developers had to take a risk with the series. There was plans to release a Fire Emblem 64 game called Maiden of Darkness that was announced, but after showing it at Nintendo Space World 2000, the project was quietly killed. The only characters kept from the project were Ron and Carl. Why? I don't fucking know. The developers used what they had as a base for the Fire Emblem Binding Blade. This game did pretty well. It was meant to be easier in both gameplay and storytelling. I can see where a lot of love was put into the development. And comparing it to the past games, you can see a lot of hard work was put into it to make it work on the GBA, which is always really nice to see. Now, despite how critical people are today, I honestly think it's an amazing game, and it's amazing how the team lost one of their creators, had their project cancelled, and made the next game in the series on a new console work so well. So, Smash Bros. Yes, this game had some influence in bringing Fire Emblem over to the West. Marth and Roy both appeared, and English people were like, who the fuck are these characters? With the previous title in the series doing so well, and the series being around for 13 years, official English Fire Emblem came out, and it is a prequel sequel to the Binding Blade, and this game is called the Blazing Blade. Are you confused yet? Just wait, this game was called just Fire Emblem in the West. Like, yes, every game in the series is called Fire Emblem. What makes you so fucking special? This game was many people's first entry into the series, and for those wondering, no, you don't have to play Binding Blade to enjoy Blazing Blade. This game sets out to improve Binding Blade gameplay-wise, story, and art. Instead of building a whole new game from the ground up, they reused elements from Binding, meaning the team only had to work on making new maps, and they could focus more on story, art, little details that people have problems with in Binding for Blazing, which makes it a great prequel sequel. The Sacred Stone is one of my favorite games in the series. Although not perfect, the Sacred Stone has such fun gameplay. So many maps in here are iconic. Now, the story may be dry as fuck, but the gameplay is so so good. This is one of the easier games in the series because you actually have the choice to level up your characters grinding a bit, and there's just so much you can do in it. Like, this is a great game. It is so fun. Though one of the key problems that I find in the series starts to become really relevant in this game. I hadn't really talked about it, but supports are a big thing in the Fire Emblem games, and in older games a lot of the characters only had maximum amount of supports they can do that was really low, and you would usually pick very specific characters because they would get bonuses, which means if you're telling the story through supports, it becomes very difficult because you don't want to pick a support that will make your characters suck. So that becomes a problem in this game because a lot of the story is told through supports and you miss out on a lot of stuff. I get it's for replay value, but I'm so glad they stopped doing this in later Fire Emblem games. Also, while I'm here, why is Efron not in Smash? He is the only main hero in the whole series that uses a spear, which is cool. Also, think of the possibilities with a combo with him and Erica. Like, that would have been so cool. Path of Radiance was the first English Fire Emblem home console title coming out on the Gamecube, and this title is literally one of the worst performing series, but that does not mean that this game is bad. Path of Radiance was supposed to be the first of a series of Fire Emblem games, which is why the next game, Radiant Dawn, takes place after the events of Path of Radiance. Now, there was a lot of problems with Radiance, such as really bad translation issues, but the developers made sure to work very close with the translators for the next installment in the series, Dawn of Radiance. But that did not mean that there wasn't a huge translation issue in Dawn of Radiance. This is considered one of the harder Fire Emblem games because this is the one that has the notorious translation issue with difficulties. You see, the developers wanted to keep Path of Radiance and Dawn of Radiance similar, so they kept the modes easy, normal, hard, when really in Dawn of Radiance it should have been normal, hard, maniac, which is why a lot of people who first played the game actually were playing on hard. There is a reason why these characters in this game are so iconic. It's because the story in Dawn of Radiance specifically is so amazing. It wraps up the whole story of Path of Radiance really well and makes a great sequel in the series, and it's aged super well. Like, the cutscenes in this game are freaking beautiful. Now, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon came out on the DS. This was a remake of the first game, so Fire Emblem 1, and I already know your first thoughts are, God, this is ugly. And yes, I 100% agree. The graphics look so bad in this game, especially the 3D fight scenes. But the overall gameplay and the layout of the game, I think, influenced a lot of the future Fire Emblem games. It still doesn't stop it from looking like shit. The next Fire Emblem game, New Mystery of the Emblem, did not release in English. It was only available in Japan. And remember how I said Fire Emblem 3 or Mystery of the Emblem was a remake of Fire Emblem 1, but it had two parts. So book 1 was a remake of Fire Emblem 1, the original game, and Book 2 was all new content. Well, this game is based off of Book 2 of the game, whereas Shadow Dragon, the previous DS game, was only based off of Book 1, from what I understand. I could be wrong here. Sorry if I am. This game looks quite a bit better, in my opinion, to Shadow Dragon, and the gameplay is a bit better. It still did not do very well at all. With the past games not selling well, Fire Emblem 13 was the last hope of the series. Fire Emblem Awakening came out for the 3DS, and holy shit, this is an amazing game. The gameplay is so fun, addicting, the characters are lovable, the music is amazing. This game had so much love put into it. I mean, if your series is gonna die, you might as well go out with a bang, right? Well, that's exactly what happened. Fire Emblem Awakening did super well. Good enough, in fact, for the Fire Emblem series to continue. This game literally saved the franchise. Now, supports. A huge thing in the Fire Emblem series, like I said a little bit before, is the support system, and they changed it in this one, so you didn't have to pair up specific units to make good characters. You could pair up anybody. If you put two units together, they will create a time-traveling demon offspring, and depending on the father, they get specific skills and access to classes. I literally have spreadsheets on skills and best parent combinations on this game that I've spent hours making because I have way too much time on my hands. This game gets into the problem some Fire Emblems have, and that is the shipping wars. This is so noticeable in Conquest and Birthright and Revelations, that other game, so much so there was a petting mechanic in the Japanese version, and they took it out for the West, and thank God they did. Also, why the fuck would you split 3 games up like this? Yes, I get it's to make more money, like Pokemon, but Fire Emblem is very story driven, especially with these games. It really breaks the immersion for me. But hey, these games sold super well, so I guess they did something right. With Fire Emblem Fates and Awakening selling so well, people were wondering what would come next. And let me just say, the shippers were disappointed. Fire Emblem Echoes is a remake of Fire Emblem 2, Gaiden. Why? I don't know. I mean, Echoes looks beautiful and it's challenging. It requires a lot of strategy. You can do some really cool tricks in it, like getting literally the best shield of the game in the first chapter. Yes, this took me so long because someone kept moving to the wrong places and I kept killing him. I personally have mixed feelings for Echoes. Like, I think it's an amazing remake and it's such an amazing game to look at, and the units actually have toes, but there is just so many things behind DLC. You see, weapons are super limited in this game. At some point, you can use merchants to trade between Celica and Alm's army, but you can't fuck this up or else you will be screwed. Not to mention, a lot of those merchant requests are for quests in the game, so you can't really trade weapons freely. It's a mess. Not to mention, a lot of the really good weapons in this game are behind DLC. Hey, look, a brick. I mean the Switch. In case you couldn't in my last video, I am not a fan of the Switch, but I like Fire Emblem, so I bought 3 Houses like 2 years after it released, and holy shit does this game disappoint me. Now, I know a lot of people love this game, but have you played any other Fire Emblem games? This game has a problem with being so slow. The story is slow because once you finish one house, you pick your next house, but you have to replay the whole first half of the game until the time jump, which it just becomes super repetitive. There's not really any big story points for that. The idea of this game was to have your units from your house. Yes, you can recruit units from other houses, but you really only need your main house. And some of these characters are just so cardboard cut out. Like, oh my god, why? Not to mention the supports in this game. I almost never skip supports, but I think I skipped almost every single support in this game. So many of them are just pointless, which made me sad because this game costs as much as Joy-Cons.
So there you guys have it. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and opinions and a little bit of history about Fire Emblem. The series has been going on for literally ever. It's had some rough times. There has been some drama. My recommendations for this series would probably be Genealogy and the Holy War. If you're wanting to get into older games, that is like my favorite older game. Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem The Sacred Stone, those are 2 really fun games. I really enjoy playing them. If you have access to it, I would recommend Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance, mainly for the experience. They were the first 3D games made on new hardware. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Fire Emblem? Let me know if I got some information wrong. There is a lot of information in this series. Also, tell me your guys' favorite Fire Emblem character down below. If you guys would like to see me do more cosplay, you guys can check out my Instagram. If you want to see how I make cosplays, you can check out my TikTok. And of course, I have a Twitch, which will all be linked down below. Have an amazing day, everybody.